The dream date. Iris walked into school as usual and went to her least favourite class, maths. As soon as she stepped in, there he was. Noah Carson, the most popular jock in the entire school, not to mention tall and handsome with cute dimples. Every girl in the school had a huge crush on him. Iris felt herself getting lost in his green eyes. "Miss Clark, get to your seat." Mr. Gregg snapped his fingers in front of Iris's face. Iris felt heat rush up to her cheeks in embarrassment as the whole class saw her staring at Noah. It was the first time Noah looked up at her with a smirk and eyed her up and down. She sat down on the desk beside Noah after returning a cheeky smile. At the end of the class, Iris almost fell asleep because of how boring the class was. The loud cheering woke her up and she proceeded to exit the class and head to the next one. She walked towards her locker and opened the door, and was startled as someone knocked on the locker door. A charming face entered her vision and her heart began racing. "Iris, right?" the voice said ever so effortlessly. "I'm Noah. I know who you are." Iris shut the locker door and faced him. Noah smirked. "What are you doing tonight?" He came closer to her. "Nothing much, why?" Iris was trying her best to look cool, but her heart was pounding. "Good. I'll pick you up at 7 then." Noah leaned forward and kissed her cheek. "Wait, what?" Iris quickly took a step back. "Would you like to go on a date with me, Iris?" Noah rephrased. Iris could not believe her own ears. Was this real? "Sure," is all that came out of her mouth. "Good, I'll pick you up," Noah said before his friends came running and took him away. Later that day, Iris got home and ran a hot bath and pampered herself for her date with Noah Carson. She still couldn't believe that out of every girl in the school, Noah asked her out. "Iris, there's a handsome boy here asking for you," her mother shouted from downstairs. Iris quickly finished off getting ready and walked downstairs. Iris wore a burgundy bodycon dress with heels and subtle makeup. "Wow, honey, you look beautiful." She looked at her daughter in awe, then turned to the boy in a silky, rich suit. "Now, young man, look after my daughter and bring her back on time." "Yes, ma'am." Noah nodded and they both walked out. Noah opened the car door like a true gentleman and Iris got in. After driving for 20 minutes, they came to a stop. "Where are we?" Iris wondered. "It's a surprise, but I promise you'll love it," Noah assured her as he placed a blindfold over her eyes. He guided her out and began walking towards a decorated table in front of the ocean. He took her blindfold off and Iris was dumbfounded at the view. Noah set up the date in front of the ocean. It was decorated with flower petals and fairy lights. "Noah," Iris walked towards the table. "This is so pretty." "Only the best for you," Noah followed her. He proceeded to lift her hand and place a kiss on her knuckles. "Iris, you look absolutely breathtaking. Everything about you is so gorgeous." Iris blushed. "Charmed," she said, as he pulled her seat out and they both began their date. An hour later, Iris and Noah headed down to the ocean. The sound of waves clashing against the rock brought peace upon the two. They both sat down on the sand and looked into the dark night. The moon was shining brightly above them and its reflection painted a surreal portrait as the rays fell on the ocean. "This is so amazing, Noah. Thank you for this day." Iris looked at him. "Thank you for coming." Noah looked at her. "I was so nervous to ask you out, but I'm glad I did." "Nervous?" Iris scoffed. "Why were you nervous?" "I was afraid you'd say no," Noah sighed. Iris laughed. "You're Noah Carson. Who would say no to you?" Noah shook his head. You think so highly of me. The entire school does. Iris rolled her eyes playfully. Noah leaned into her. What else do you think of me? Noah tilted his head. Iris knew where this was going, but she didn't mind. She leaned into him and slowly closed her eyes as he got closer. Wake up, Iris! A loud voice echoed in Iris's ears, followed by knocks. You're going to be late for school. Iris's mother opened the bedroom door and walked in. She proceeded to open the curtains, and that's when Iris groaned and woke up. It was at that moment that Iris realized that it was all a dream.